Jarmo, did you have any clue who Anaheim was going to select it to before
Nope.
they did?
No.
No idea. Did you
No.
have a hunch?
No.
Were you surprised as anybody else?
No.
You weren't surprised.
No.
Is this how you expected it to go then?
No, but I mean, it could have been anything after the first, so I think that the probably the next three could have gone in any order. So.
Yeah. And how pleased are you? I don't think many expected Fantilli to slide to 3, at least this side of the podium. Were you surprised by that? Pleased by that?
I'm very pleased. I think we got a great player. As I said all along, that I think we're going to get a great player at number 3, and we got Adam. We're very, very pleased. It's exactly what we need. Exactly the type of player we're always looking for. A 200-foot player that plays the game the right way, produces, but not just with skill, with determination and character and will, and so those players are rarely available. So we're very, very pleased to have them.
You said yesterday it's rare for an 18-year-old to be able to play in the NHL. Does he strike you as a plug-and-play type guy? Is that ability there after the season he had in college hockey?
He'll be 19 in October, so. Actually, you know what? It makes big difference. We always call it a hockey year older when they're late birth, so it does make a big difference in their development, even if in physical year they might be only a few months apart, but it can make a big difference in their development when they're kind of at the hockey year ahead of a guy who's a straight 2005 in this year's draft.
Do you see him as physically ready to play NHL hockey?
Yeah, I do. He's a physically mature guy. He played against NHL players in the World Championships and did very well. Started on the fourth line, but his role increased the whole time, and it was actually a big part of Canada winning the gold at the end. And his role just kept increasing the whole tournament. And like I said, he was one of the key players when they won it.
He and Carlson, obviously both great talents, future number ones, potentially centers. Two different players, though. Carlson more of a playmaker, Fantilli driving play. How big is it to get Fantilli? What he is able to do for your team, pushing guys back and using his speed and kind of going straight forward?
Yeah, as I said, he's a 200-foot player. He's a good two-way responsible player in both ends, and competes. When he played in the USHL, he even had a few fights and showed that he's got some great pushback and battle and compete in him. And he's always produced numbers too. And he's a tremendous skater. He's got great speed. He can transport the puck through the neutral zone with speed. But I think the competitiveness and the edge that he plays with those the character and heart and they're the big part of this equation always for us. It's not just about the skill and the points.
You talk about character. What impressed you the most meeting with him one-on-one throughout this process?
Seems like a very genuine young man and very determined. He seems like a guy who's just very committed to realizing his dream. That's what we always talk about. These guys are great talents, but the battle is just starting now. Now you're going to have to play against the best players in the world if you get to the NHL next year. And once you establish yourself in the NHL, then there's another hurdle, because now you're not a rookie anymore that everybody kind of thinks, well, let's see if he's ready to play in the NHL. Once you start producing on the NHL level, then you're playing against the best players on the other team, the checkers, the first pairing Ds, and that's another challenge there. But he seems like a guy who's driven to just keep going in his development, and that's really important, the dedication.
How open are you to him possibly returning to school? The conversation you'll end up having?
We're going to talk to him about it, but we feel he's ready, and we're going to make sure that he knows that we feel he's ready. I think he's already accomplished so much in the college level, winning Hobey Baker in his first year and producing almost 2 points per game, playing in the Men's World Championships, playing in the World Junior, that he's ready for the next challenge, and that's something that we're going to talk about with him. But obviously, we're going to take his thoughts into consideration and listen to him very carefully and have those conversations, but we feel he's ready.
Can you say now, did you ever, or how many conversations you had, if any, with Pat Verbeek about trying to get to number one? Or two, sorry.
No, not really. I mean, I had a brief conversation this morning, and he wasn't moving, so that's. I think, like I said, I think 2, 3, and 4, we all thought that we're going to get a real good player, and let's wait and see who it is.
Yeah, he's You thought it could have been any of the three?
Yeah,
legitimately?
yeah, absolutely.
You surprised there were no trades the first round or no?
Yeah, I think we talked about it. I don't know if I've seen a draft in my years where there wasn't one trade in the whole first round. We talked about moving up potentially from 34, and didn't happen, and wasn't available for the player that we would have moved up for. So no movement, but also no NHL roster players got traded today, which is rare too.
Do you think that's an indication of potentially how strong this draft class might be down the road, that people want to make their picks rather than trade them?
Could be, but also that would mean that teams would probably aggressively move up to try to get someone. And I don't know if there was a lot of that. Obviously, I don't know the conversations the other GMs are having about their pick, but we got a lot of phone calls for the third pick that we weren't going to move unless somebody moved the earth. But so I'm not sure exactly what that's all about. That shouldn't really affect the trades for the roster players, which sometimes happens for even later picks than the first round, but there was none of them today.
Did you see his sweater vest and suit?
Yeah, it was pretty cool, and he's a very considerate young man. That speaks about his character too. That he remembers to thank the people that have helped him along the way, and I think that speaks loudly of his character.
Are you expecting a few more calls on 34 here overall?
Yeah, I'm sure that's something that's and we're going to consider that too, and we're going to look at our board again tonight and see if it makes sense for us to maybe move back and get another pick if there's a bigger group of guys that we feel that we can still get if we move back a few spots. But there's a good chance we will make a pick at 34.
If he makes the team as you suggest, you think he's ready to do? Do you already have an abundance of centers now that you need to move?
We'll sort it all out. I think that that again is a pretty good problem to have. Obviously, we have to think about the 23-man roster, and that's a limitation that we have to know. But also, a lot of times, guys get hurt, have a little nicks during training camp, and might miss the first couple of weeks of regular season. And be good to have a few extras then in that case. But we'll sort it all out.
Does it help having? No, go ahead.
You mentioned just feeling that he's ready. So if he does make the team, do you envision him immediately just being the scoring line role, getting a shot with Johnny or Patrick, that type of deployment?
Oh, that's going to be up to the coach where he sees he's the best fit on our team. But I think that it's always important the management and coaching staff are on the same page about the player that he can play to his strengths. And Adam is certainly not a fourth-line player or checker. Or he's a guy that's always played on the top lines and with the top talent on that team. And I think he's going to get a real good opportunity with us to show that he can belong on those lines and that kind of role with our team as well. But him, like everybody else, will have to earn their ice time and role on the team.
You have Kent Johnson's a playmaking forward. Johnny Gaudreau obviously had him last year. The fact that you have a couple of key players like that who are already playmakers, does the style of play come into effect at all when you're looking at who to pick this high in the draft?
I think you compare more to the young players in the mix that we have, and we have some skilled young players as well. I think he fits perfectly within that mix with the style of play that he has. He's a sort of more of a power forward, but he's got a lot of skill. I mean, you don't score points like that in the NCAA in your first year unless you're a skilled player. And he's also a clutch player, which I like. Whenever the bigger the moment this year than when we watched him play, he always rose to the occasion, and that's something everybody's looking for as well.
Were there a couple of games that stood out to you watching him over the time that you scouted him?
Yeah, I think I personally saw him in Michigan probably 10 times because it's an easy drive for us, and I saw him at the World Juniors, and I saw him at the World Championships, so I probably saw him play 15 times this year, and I never came back and not impressed with his performance and effort and compete level, and that's but our amateur scouts have seen him even more than I do, so they can answer that better. But he's, there were a lot of obviously the highlights goal that he scored in the semifinal game in the Men's World Championship was an unbelievable goal, and and that's been in many highlights that you've seen on the internet. But he was the number one player on that team. He was the number one player in the country for the NCAA. So I'm sure there's plenty of highlights to see what his best games were.
And now you've gone top 10, 3 guys from Michigan over your time as GM. Is there a familiarity that you have looking at guys from that program?
No, I think it's just a coincidence. I've always said this about different nationalities too, that we don't care about the cover of the passport or where they went to school. We just put the players in order where we feel that they belong, and that's whether they're from Michigan or Ohio State, doesn't matter.
Talking about passports, it's not really a Columbus question, but is it surprising not to see a Finnish player go in the first round?
I think that seemed to be expected in the public speculations, and it's a small country and it can change from year to year. I think there was one year when we had 5 or 6 from Finland, and this year there was none. So it was an off year for this draft class, but I'm sure Finland will be back strong next year.